How is it going, everyone, and welcome back to yet another video on the channel. Now, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, today's video is yet another trade proposal that I have prepared for you. And as you can also see from the title and thumbnail, we're going to be dealing with the Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender, better known as Frederik Andersen. As lately, I have seen a ton of just news articles and general theories around a Frederik Andersen trade before these playoffs end and where he could possibly go, as I think he has one more year left on his deal over in Toronto until he is a UFA, which he is probably going to leave, as he has talked a lot and hasn't been that shy to talk to the media about him being open to being traded. So that's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be going over a bunch of possible trades and why I feel this guy could go to a team such as the Chicago Blackhawks in particular, but it's not just the Blackhawks. The ultimate possibilities are limitless. Honestly, there are a couple of teams that I feel could really be contenders for a guy like Freddie Andersen. But anyways, we're going to be getting to all of that today. Before I get into the actual video though, please make sure to subscribe. We are almost at 3K subs. It would really appreciate it on my end, and it would help me out a lot. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and let's get right into the video. Now let's begin talking a little bit about Freddie Andersen and why I feel his situation in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization could lead him to be on his way out. Now, as we all know, Freddie Andersen has been the starting netminder for the Toronto Maple Leafs for a number of years now, and he has shown very little weakness on that team. He is far from the problem, and I feel like he's actually one of the backbones on the actual Toronto Maple Leafs team, and the reason that they got the success that they actually did, although that success is limited, they did have some success with Freddie Andersen, and he is one of the main reasons. Despite them having 4 players who are making upwards of $10 million, he is one of the main reasons that the Leafs were able to make the playoffs for a number of years in the first place. But let's talk about why I feel he could leave. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said, with what I'm about to say. The Leafs haven't actually won a playoff series with Freddie Andersen, and this is frustrating because they have had very successful regular seasons, obviously making the playoffs most years that Freddie Andersen has been on the team, but they haven't been able to get past the first round, which it's got to be frustrating. And at this point, especially the fact that they didn't even make the playoffs this year, they got knocked out in the qualifying round to the Columbus Blue Jackets. It may have been the last straw for a guy like Freddie Andersen, who has pushed for a countless number of years to try and make this Toronto Maple Leafs team strive, but year after year they just can't get there. So the frustration is there. This guy may want his way out because of the fact the Leafs just can't make any progress with the team that they currently have. And I mean, it's not like the Leafs are even in a rebuild or anything. Like, they have countless players who can get upwards of point per game numbers every single year. And I can name a couple for examples, like Marner, Matthews, Tavares, even Nylander's getting close to that margin. And, you know, if you look at it that way, they shouldn't have any problem having success in the playoffs. But these guys just have not been able to put it together. So as someone who sympathizes with Freddie Andersen, you could really begin to feel the pain that he has probably been feeling these past couple years, obviously not being able to get past Boston in 2018 or 2019, and this year seems like a step further back, not even making the playoffs and losing to a weaker Columbus Blue Jackets team that ended up losing a bunch of their star players last year in free agency. So this seems like something that could seem like a step in the wrong direction for the Leafs organization. Everything seemed to be going right for them. They were getting a bunch of skilled players in the draft. They were signing good players, but they just haven't put the pieces together. And that leads me to my next point. And my next point sort of carries on with the whole frustration I'm sure Freddie Andersen has been dealing with these past couple seasons. And it's not necessarily the production that has been the main problem, but what I actually wanted to go over and focus on was the defense. And if you're an avid hockey watcher and have been watching the Leafs for the past couple of seasons, you would know that they have been searching for just general backbone, reliable defensemen who can help keep the puck away from the net. And you would know that if you watch hockey, you would know that the Leafs just haven't been able to find consistency in that category. And the Leafs in particular just haven't been able to find defensemen who can keep the puck out of the net. Obviously, making acquisitions like Tyson Barrie aren't going to help you, as they're more offensive defensemen. And then you have guys like Marty Marincin and Travis Dermott, who are just pylons out there. The Leafs don't have very many shutdown defensemen. Jake Muzzin, I guess you consider one of them, but he did get injured, which sort of led to the floodgates opening in that Toronto-Columbus series. So what the Leafs need are defensemen, but you have to look at Freddie Andersen. He's taking on a huge burden when the Leafs don't have any shutdown defensemen. He's going to have to be making 35, 40, maybe even 45 saves every night. And as a goalie who doesn't have a consistent backup in Michael Hutchinson, that is very hard. And you would have to feel sorry for that guy's back, because he is carrying that team. And if he has to make, 43 out of 45 saves every night, that is very tough and very stressful on that goalie, and you could honestly really sympathize with this guy and really understand why he may want out for that very reason. I mean, why would you want to play in goal every night just to know that you're going to face 45 shots because your defense just doesn't do their job? And with that being said, Freddie Andersen has every right to demand as much money as he wants from the Toronto Maple Leafs if he wants to stay, as he is carrying a huge burden in the defensive end in particular. And not to mention, the Leafs probably would not be able to afford him in the first place. So the Leafs probably will have to trade him as well. So that just makes me believe even more that we will be seeing a Frederik Andersen trade maybe this coming off season. But, it's all up to them, all up to how they're going to kind of coordinate this. I mean, for all we know, Freddie Andersen could be making from $6, $7 to $8 million a year next year with the performances that he's had. He is probably a top 10 goalie in the NHL, don't get me wrong. But would the Leafs be able to afford him? I don't think so. So that sort of concludes my reasoning as to why I feel Freddie Andersen would want to leave and why I feel like he may have to on the Leafs perspective as well. But what teams could he go to? And I know I had Chicago at the top of the list. Obviously, Corey Crawford is sort of dwindling and he is getting older. So I feel like the Hawks, with the cap space that they do actually have, would be able to afford a guy like Freddie Andersen. Obviously, losing Leonard was a big blow in the playoffs, and we saw that as they went up against the Vegas Golden Knights. So it would definitely be nice for them to pick up a guy like Freddie Andersen, who could be a very reliable piece back there and could definitely help them out. The Hawks look pretty good, and they actually did make the playoffs, so they're looking like they're on the come up again, but maybe not as good as they used to be back in the early 2010s, but they're still looking very good, and adding a piece like Freddie Andersen would definitely strengthen them, and it would make sense. So I feel like a trade to the Blackhawks from the Toronto Maple Leafs would make a lot of sense for a guy like Freddie Andersen. The price, however, I would not really know. Honestly, I'm pretty bad when it comes to coming up with prices for players, so you guys can figure that one out in the comments. If we were to see a Chicago-Toronto trade involving Freddie Andersen, what would be the receiving end for the Toronto Maple Leafs? What would they deserve in return for a guy like Freddie? I'd definitely like to know your opinions down in the comment section below. And I think that's probably going to do it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate if you stuck around. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Peace.